that a thing?
Cosplayers and pop culture fans, are you ready to assemble for the ultimate geek weekend? The Hall of Heroes Comic-Con is invading Elkhart, Indiana with 2 explosive days of comics, stars, and non-stop fun. Join us Saturday, May 30th and Sunday, May 31st, 2026 at the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart. Doors open at 10 a.m. both days. VIP early entry at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're rolling out a massive lineup of legends. Meet Eric Estrada from Chips and Fallout, Dirk Benedict from the A-Team and Battlestar Galactica, Tara Reid from American Pie and Sharknado, Catherine Cavadini, voice of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, Kel Mitchell from All That, Kevin and Kel and Mystery Men, horror icon Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers in Halloween, and more. Plus, top comic artists including Arthur Sidem, Marvel Zombies and Deadpool, John Kramer from Batman and Wonder Woman, Keith Pollard, a legendary Marvel artist on Spider-Man and Thor, and more. Scott Rosema, Stuart Sager, and others. Get autographs, photo ops, and chats with the stars and creators who shaped your favorites. The floor is packed with over 150 vendors, artists, and cosplayers offering exclusive comics, collectibles, original art, and merch. Enjoy cosplay contests for kids and adults with great prizes, live Q&A panels, artist showcases, interactive zones, and family-friendly fun all weekend. And the excitement goes live. Madness Entertainment Group is broadcasting straight from the con floor all weekend on YouTube, Build, and Rumble. Catch every moment as it happens, then relive it anytime with the full shows available later on Med TV on Roku. Grab your tickets today at hohcomiccon.org. Hall of Heroes Comic-Con, May 30th and 31st, 2026. Northern Indiana Event Center, Elkhart, Indiana. We'll see you there, heroes. This ad was created by Nim on behalf of Madness Entertainment Group and Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wham. I am your hostess for the evening, Barb Kjellberg, Empress of Inks. And we're going to keep our introduction short tonight, guys, so that we can focus on our very special guest, who I will introduce here in a second. So as I said, my name is Barb Kjellberg. I'm an industry professional for 37 years, creator of Divinity, my own book, and the CFO, main bean counter for SilverlineComics. So, right next to me, Javier, you want to take it away?
Okay. All right. My name is Javier Lugo. I'm based out of Zephyr Hills, Florida. I'm a comic book penciler by design. I also am an inker as well. I work in indie titles, and currently I'm working on Chivalry Incorporated, a 3-issue series for Silverline. Rob?
Yep, I am a longtime comics illustrator, about as long as Barb is, maybe a few months longer. I've worked for all sorts of different people, many of the same companies Barb has worked for: Marvel, DC, Innovation, Malibu. Did some Star Trek work for them, and all kinds of stuff in between. And now I'm retired from real work and doing this kind of stuff for fun and entertainment and a little bit of cash. But that's, for Silverline and others.
John Medic.
All right, I'll keep it short. Yo, sup? No, I'll do more. John Medic. Unlike the group up above me, I cannot draw for shit, but boy, can I tell a story. So I write, I letter, I edit, I've self-published, do pre-press work. Adobe Illustrator is my friend, and I get to work with some pretty freaking awesome artists and other collaborators. And I've been away for a couple of weeks. Not bad stuff. Last week was my 3-year anniversary with my wife. Woo! The week before that, I forget why I wasn't here, but whatever it was a good reason. Woo! And I'm glad to be back.
And our special guest tonight is John Holland from Diebold Comics. And we will get to you in just a second. We got to plug our own crowdfunder before we get to you. So,
No problem.
Yeah, before we get to John, we have a crowdfunder going. It is to recoup operational expenses that we lost during the Great Diamond Fiasco. So, if you want to take a
Fiasco's a
look,
nice way to put it.
yeah, what, the fiasco?
Yeah, cluster something else kind of comes to mind. But
Diamond disaster. Diamond
did a lot of people dirty.
Oh, hi, Pops. Yeah, and if anybody wants to take a look at, we are selling off backstock. We are selling clothing. We are selling overstock on a lot of our books. We're selling entire runs, prints. I know we've got several types of prints going. We've got at least one poster, and boy, do we have original comic art. You've got a little bit of everything for everybody. So if you're interested in helping us out, please take a look at our current crowdfunder. And if you can't help out, share online, promote us. That's just as valuable to us as purchasing, almost as valuable. So with that, I'm going to remove that, and we are going to go back to our special guest. John, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Right now I'm a writer and I publish under Diebold Comics. I've actually been kicking around the business since probably the mid '80s. I started being published by Fantagraphics, Caliber Press, Kitchen Sink. I did a few stories for their Death Rattle title. I worked with Innovation.
Me too.
Yeah, I did the Christmas issue of Quantum Leap. I had Sam jump into Santa Claus. So I worked with a bunch of different, a lot of different indie publishers at that time. Currently, I do a lot of self-publishing.
Cool.
I do work with some. I've done some work with Antarctic Press recently. It's Alive Comics, Insane Comics. I just signed a contract a couple weeks ago with Source Point Press. That book probably won't be out for about another year at least. And I have a Zoot. I want to say a Kickstarter because it's such a generic term now, but I'm doing a Zoot, which actually ends tomorrow for the Diebold Comics digital library. Everything on this campaign is digital, nothing print. It's got I think I've got about 15 titles on there, a couple trades, and then some bundles. It doesn't look like I'm going to make it unless, I get a lot of people to contribute in the next day. So I've tried I did a Fund My Comic last month. So I've been trying to do some things besides Kickstarter to try them out. And so far, they haven't really worked out real well. The Fund My Comics didn't do very well, and the Zoot, So the next one after this is I'm going back to Kickstarter in July.
Do you ever use My Comic?
What, Fund My Comic? Mm-hmm. Yes, I used that last month for. I tried to do a comic, and it did not do very well. I don't know, I mean, part of it was maybe my fault, but they don't seem to have the audience that Kickstarter does. Kickstarter has a built-in audience that people just scroll through Kickstarter looking for projects. Zoop is another one that doesn't have a lot of backers. I think they've only got a few campaigns running at this time at the moment. So, but this is everything is, digital. So everything is like most of the single issues are $5. The trades are $10. And then I have bundles where you can get them for, cheaper prices where they're bundled together.
You got a lot of books on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've put a few things out. Some of it is stuff I reprinted from like when I was in the 80s, like the Lizard series is I did a series in Fantagraphics in their Critters anthology, and that was the Lizards comic. And I had like 5 issues worth of stories that I printed in their own comic, and I've continued that. So I've got
this one right here.
Yeah, that's the one on the left is the trade that has the first 5 issues, and the one on the right is the newest issue that we just did about a year ago. I've got a title in there, Snapshots. We were talking about Sam Keith earlier before we came on live, and I worked with Sam before he became famous. And that Snapshots is a collection of short stories that I did from Death Rattle and some other places, and there's 5 Sam Keith stories in there also that 4 of them have been reprinted in his I Before E when Fantagraphics reprinted them. But the 5th one I don't think has ever been reprinted anywhere. It's a story that Dave Garcia penciled and Sam inked. And it was in one of the Death Rattle issues. So
wow. Now this looks like a lot of very nice stuff, folks. I highly suggest you hop on over and hang on here, and I will also get the address and post it.
I work with a lot of really good artists. That's why I can't draw to save my life, but I do have the ability to pick some really good artists, and I've worked with some really good artists. So that's been very good.
Yeah, that's evident in the art that's been shown. It's tremendous quality. Yeah.
The Snapshots one that's showing right now, that's 64 pages, and that's got like 3 stories from Kitchen Sink's Death Rattle. It's got
64 pages for $5.
Yeah. And the good thing with everything being digital,
pages, folks.
Nobody has to wait for me to print it. Nobody has to wait for me to ship it. As quick as the campaign's over, as quick as I can type in emails and hit buttons, everybody will get their copies. There's no
what format you got it in. Is it PDF or what is it? What
PDF.
format is it? Yeah, PDF. Okay.
Yeah, it's
so
PDF.
Any operating system can read it.
Yes.
Yeah.
64 pages for $5. That is unbeatable.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy talk.
And then the Lizards trade, which is $10, is 5 comics in there, so that's over 100 pages. So it's I think they're really pretty good deals, and you don't have to wait to get them. A lot of times, people do Kickstarters and stuff. One, they don't complete the project, or then you still have to wait for it to get printed and then shipped, and this is like almost instantly you get the book.
Instantaneously.
Yeah, what you said.
Pop says
my time's working tonight.
Pop says with Stripe screwing the pooch, FMC is going to pick up even more supporters every time Kickstarter or ICG messes up the FMC grows. He's true.
I like it. Fund My Comics was very easy to use. I mean, it was probably the easiest site that I've used to get the campaign ready, and I liked it. It just didn't really take off for me. So I mean, I'll probably try to use it again, but I just didn't do very well on it.
I think it's also kind of like when Kickstarter and all those started. Originally, the big guys had the indies started it up, and were selling stuff, and then the big names in the industry got in there and started vacuuming up all the money. Because they found out there was money to be made there, and so famous creators got on there and just started vacuuming up all the money. And that, I think that's part of what's going on with those. That's why it's so hard to get any traction, is that you kind of have to work harder in order to get ahead there. But I think it rewards somebody who actually does the work. But man, it can be a lot of work.
Pop says it still comes down to promotion. You got to blow your own horn
lot.
Or go on a lot of shows, which is why he's here.
That's why he's here. Yep.
So how the hell did you fall into this? I mean, I know everybody's got their own origin story, whether it be superhero or villain origin story. How did you fall into comics?
I've always loved to read. I always say, you know, when I was a kid, like when I was 4 or 5 years old, my parents put me in like a book club. It was like some kiddie, like Dr. Seuss book club. So I've been in a book club probably since I was 5 years old. You know, it's like, you know, when I got older, I joined the science fiction book club and the mystery book club. And, you know, I love to read. And that just kind of turned into a wanting to write. I was big fans of Harlan Ellison and Isaac Asimov. And I don't know if you're familiar with Ellison, but, you know, he's more of a short story writer. And most of his books, he writes introductions to his stories, and his introductions sometimes are longer than the stories, but his introductions were always very entertaining. He talked about the act of writing. He talked about his life, and it kind of showed me that anybody could be a writer, and I always wanted to write. And I was always a big comic book fan. I started reading comics when I was little, became a big Marvel fan for a long time, and it just kind of wanted to do something. So I just picked up and started trying to write comics when I was in high school, and just kept going until, you know, I started finding ways, like back in I guess it was the 80s, right before the direct market, or right around the time of the direct market came out. I read Comics Buyer's Guide, and the back of that, you know, they had the classified section.
Oh yeah.
And I put out a classified ad looking for artists. And there was a magazine called Comic Scene, and they had an article about, I think it was called Interfan. And they acted like a hub for writers and artists and colorists, and they would match it with you know, that's how I met Sam Keith. I wrote them and got their address, and Sam actually was a member of Interfan. And we connected, and we started talking on the phone and everything, and we started trying to break in together. I met Dave Garcia and his wife Monica Sharp through that, and they were the ones that created PandaCon. My mind went blank for a second there. So we worked together. I met Ron Wilbur. He was the artist on the Lizard series with me. He answered my my classified ad in the back of Buyer's Guide. I got a lot of people answered that classified ad, and that was like, you know, it was only like about probably 5 or 6 sentences. Didn't cost very much, but I ran that ad for like weeks at a time just to find, you know, and that's back in the day when you had to send things through the mail. You had to talk to people on the telephone. There was no email. There was no texting. You know,
it was rudimentary.
Yeah, what I call is back in the old days when it was phone, fax, and FedEx.
Yes.
Yep.
I remember when, you know, Sam and I would work together, you know, I'd send him a script, and then I'd have to wait another week or two for him to send me the art back, you know, copies of the art, you know, and then I'd have to call him and we talk about it. And, you know, it was a constant, you know, but there was also kind of like, I was talking about that the other day. There was a anticipation, you know, going to the mailbox. And when I opened that mailbox and I'd seen a huge envelope in there, knowing that was artwork coming in, and just, you know, sometimes not even waiting till I got inside, you know, trying to rip it open and see what it looked like, you know. It was, you know, it was fun.
Yes. And it was a lot easier back then to connect with people. I think, I mean, everybody says nowadays with social media and everything, it's easier, but to sit down with somebody at a show, it was so much easier back then because they were more accessible. Nowadays it's like, okay, if you want your portfolio reviewed, drop it in this box, and we will leave your phone number. And if we like it, we'll give you a call tomorrow. This is at shows, you know, you can't sit down with anybody and go over your portfolios anymore.
Well, and editors and publishers don't go to many comic book shows anymore. I go to Planet Comic-Con, which is a big show, and there's not one publisher there. No big publishers there.
Oh yeah.
Marvel,
well, I remember
don't come. Even medium-sized ones aren't there.
Yeah.
But
I remember when I first used to go to conventions, there's always be, you know, an editor or two or publishers.
Right.
Now, the only convention I go to that I see editors is San Diego. That's the only one that said, you know, but every other
and you can't get to them.
No, yeah. It's, and meeting people now too, I mainly I use Facebook now to find artists, but one of the problems I'm having, or I worry about, is especially with the rise of AI. It's like, some of these artists come up, I'll get people to say, hey, I'll draw your book for you, or I'll draw this for you. They want money, but when you go try to find out how long they've been doing anything, it's hard to tell. And sometimes their art, I just don't know if it's real or AI.
Oh, that is nasty. Yeah,
we're gonna go through this for a while, I'm afraid.
yeah. See, I hire my pencilers. I write and ink and color my own work, but I hire my pencilers. And so I know they're doing it. I know they're doing it by hand, or digitally at least, but it's not AI. I just don't see the appeal. If I want to draw 6 fingers on somebody, I can do that myself.
Yeah.
The technology is growing leaps and bounds, though. It's going to be a game changer, and this is going to be looked at in the future.
I can see Photoshop.
Photoshop changed everything, and it took away art from real artists who would paint by hand, and it's the same thing. It's an evolution. It's definitely different. Barb, one of the things that I've heard proponents, like people I know that are like me and we can't draw, some of them are thinking about putting out books now because they could finally put out their vision from their head, not translated through somebody else's ears, eyes, reading, pencils to paper. They see it as more direct translation, just using a completely different tool.
Hey, Grey Wolf, good to have you. And would you do that?
What's that?
Would you use AI?
To tell you the truth, for shits and giggles, I might actually try to do something like a one-shot, a short story. I want to try the tech to see what I could do with it. It's a tool. I want to see what it can do. I want to see limitations. I want to see advantages. One of the things that I always do when I write is I give all of my artists page by page, panel by panel layouts. I draw like how I want them sequenced and how many panels. If I can get something that then could go and put in a little bit more than stick figures for me to like give the artist a visual interpretation of this is where I'm picturing like a half body shot like this, to kind of help the process along.
The problem I see with it though, John, is that in order for AI to do what it does, it has to scrape and steal from artists. It goes out on the internet and scrapes stuff into itself. So it's kind of thievery, really. So that's the biggest problem I have with it.
I can say the same thing about every writer who read Shakespeare and every other great novel in the past. And I'm not getting into philosophical like fights. I'm not fighting with anybody.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
And I have used it. In
10 years, it's going to be a whole different talk.
Well, I'm sure it will.
I hope I'm alive.
And I've used it as a tool in laying out stuff. But the problem, that's the problem I see with it. And I'm not sure if or how that can be fixed.
Pop says that's the main reason he won't promote it. Because it scrapes other people's stuff.
Yeah, it's the theft part of it that bothers me the most. Yeah.
The lights went out on Javier. I can see this ghostly image back there. So, John, tell me about Diebold Comics. How did that come about?
For the longest time when I was self-publishing, I was self-publishing without any type of brand. I was just like putting the books out. There was no brand to it. And I finally realized I needed something to like gather everything together. I needed a brand. And I went through for a while trying to just decide on a name. I threw a million different names out there. And I actually have a comic called Diebold Comics that I did with the artist back in like the early 90s. And I like that name. So I kind of the comic, it's all one word, but for the company, I split it up. It's Diebold Comics, and I just thought it made a really catchy name, an interesting name for it.
How long ago was this that you started it? Hello.
Did we lose you, John?
Oh, I'm back.
You're frozen.
Okay.
Okay, you froze there for a second.
I'm sorry, I missed the last question.
How long ago did you start Diebold Comics?
Probably about 5 years ago, maybe, is when I started actually publishing under Diebold itself. Like I said, before that, I was publishing comics, but there was no brand name on it, no company name. It was just, I'd have the title of the comic and everything on it, but there was no publisher name on it.
Excuse me. Are there other artists that publish under Diebold Comics?
No.
Or is it just your stuff?
Just I write so far I've written everything that's Diebold has published.
Cool. So it's your imprint. It's your personal imprint.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Since you've been writing everything under Diebold, have you how many different genres have you had a chance to play in? Since you can do whatever you want, and if you're writing everything, I'm sure you get a dabble in, like, I want to do some of this, I want to do some of that. What have been some of your favorite genres to play in?
I've done horror, science fiction, fantasy, crime, slice of life. Probably I'm forgetting a few others. I get bored very easy. I like to write in everything, So right now, my newest book that I wrote that I'm working on is Akimi, which was inspired by Warrior Nun from Antarctic Press. Very loosely inspired by it. So I'm not really sure what genre that would be in. It's kind of superhero, kind of adventure thriller. Probably the genre I would write in less is superhero. I don't really do a whole lot of superhero stuff, but I've done horror. I did one of my books is Alma. Yeah. And superheroes, it's like there's enough superheroes out there, and it's I like superheroes. I'm a fan of Marvel. I'm a fan of DC, but there's enough of them out there that how am I going to stand out in this crowd of a million comics? So,
well, if you're comparing to current day Marvel or DC, write something good, and you'll have an audience.
Yeah. One of my favorite comics I did was Alma, which is the tagline is "What if Buffy was a 72-year-old grandmother?"
That's cool.
Which that's one when I'm at conventions and I'm trying to show that comic, even people that have never watched Buffy, almost 99% of the people I talk to at least know who Buffy is, because Buffy's become like an icon now. I've had, I think, 2 people tell me they've never heard of Buffy, out of all the probably thousands of people I've talked to at shows. But so most people, at least, it gives them an instant, where they know it is. And so Alma was a comic when I created it. It was kind of inspired by Buffy and my mom. My mom's name was Alma. Alma originally was a 24-page comic. And right after I did it, my mom passed away. So I went back, and now it's a 48-page comic. We added 8 pages. So there's 32 pages of comic in the book. Plus, we added recipes for my mom. My mom was writing like a diary before she passed. So there's like 4 or 5 pages from about her early history in there. There's I wrote like a little page about my mom, just a remembrance for her. So now it's become like a true. I'm sorry.
I said it sounds like a lovely memorial.
It did. It's become like a tribute. So, that's one of my favorite comics just because of that. Even before all that, it was always one of my favorite because, I'm a big Buffy fan. So, just, kind of using that idea. And then, when I was looking for a name for it, I was trying to think of a name for a strong female character. And my mom was one of the strongest people I knew before she passed.
She was badass, huh?
Oh yeah, she was up to up until when she got sick. It was like about 2 years before she passed. But up until that day when she was in her 80s, she'd be out there mowing the yard. She'd be out there, with a machete cutting down trees and stuff. So, when she did finally get sick, it went pretty quick. But up until that point, my brother and I used to joke that she was going to outlast all of us. She'd be here long after we were gone.
I got a dad like that. He still lives by himself on the farm. He's 89.
Yeah.
Works every day.
Yeah. So, so that book, means a lot to me. I did a book called The Girl and Her Dog that Tony Isabella said was one of the best books of the year it was published. And that's more my slice of life story. It's just about a girl and her dog. It's hard to say when somebody asks what's your favorite comic, and I always say it's whatever I just wrote, because, but there's always some that I like a little more than others, I think. So
it is a Floramonte flyby. Oh my God. Howdy ho, neighbors. Everybody's looking good tonight. John too.
Oh, Tommy's flirting with me. Oh. I was going to put that in the chat, but I had to log in for that. It's not playing nice. Tommy, you're pretty too.
Get a room. Get a room.
Well, it requires a plane ticket to Florida to begin with. And I don't think either of our wives would be too permissive of that. So, yeah, no. Thanks, but no.
Javier, do you have any questions for John?
Where can people see you in person and get these books from you, if at all possible?
I have a Substack. You can go to my Substack and order. Right now, I've got if you want a digital copy, I've got the Zoop running for one more day. I do a lot of conventions. I used to do a lot of local conventions. I'm from Louisiana, and we have so many conventions in this area. I was doing almost a convention every couple weeks. I've cut back doing a lot of the local ones just because it's the same people every week, you see, every convention. I can't sell stuff. They come up to my table and it's like, what do you have new? And I'm like, I can't write and publish stuff that quick. Right. So I just did, what's the name of Staple in Austin. I just did that a couple weeks ago.
That's a good show.
It was a really good show. And it's all indie people. There's no movie people. There's no voice actors. There's no TV actors. There's no wrestlers. It's all indie. It's not a huge show, but it sells out like in 5 minutes when the tables go on for sale. It's very in demand. I did a show. I think I did a library show a couple weeks ago. I've come to the conclusion my favorite shows are library shows. I do so much better at a library than I do at a convention. It's like I'll do 2 to 3 times the amount of money at a library show than I do at some conventions. One, libraries, most of them are free. They don't charge you for your table. And the people that are coming in, some of them are comic book people because, they're coming because they heard there's a comic show. But you got a lot of people that are just there to be in the library, but they're readers. If they're in the library, they like to read. And I've sold so many things at a library show to people that, never had seen a comic or hadn't seen a comic in years. They'd come up and look at it and say, well, I'll give that a try. So I love library shows. I try to do as many library shows now as I can within the driving distance. I've got a show in Florida next month, and I'll be in I'm not tabling at San Diego, but I will be in San Diego this year too.
Boy, I used to go to San Diego every single year for over a dozen years, and it's just gotten out of my reach now.
Yeah, I hadn't went in a long time, and I went a couple years. I went the last 2 years, and I'm going this year, and I'll probably take a break just because it's just so expensive and so big that I am going to the Small Press Expo in Baltimore. I think it's in Baltimore in September or August. I'm not even sure when it is. They have a lottery to get picked for you to buy a table. In the last 2 years, I've never won the lottery, and I just got an email not long ago saying, "Hey, you can buy a table now."
Wow.
Are the prices for tables competitive? Are they decent?
They're a little more expensive than a lot of conventions. They're about $550 for a full table, but they also do half tables for like $200. And I'm probably just going to take a half table because I'm not going to be able to bring that many books because I'm going to be flying. So I'll just pack up enough books to set up a half table and see what goes.
That's why I like to
But
do
I'll-
shows. I do shows within a 4-hour drive radius of Madison, Wisconsin, because I always get comped my tables. Because I'm a big fish in a small pond. If I go to some place like C2E2 or stuff like that, people's like, and I can't afford the table fees.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yep.
Yeah, and some of these big conventions are just, you know, if they've got like, we have like Fan Expo here in New Orleans it's usually the first convention I think of the year. It's in January, and I always say I'm not going to do it again, and then I wait a couple years and then I'll do it. And I usually can get a free table from them because they usually comp a few local people tables if they have them. But I do terrible. Even being comped, I do terrible. By the time I throw in, you know, parking, and New Orleans charges some type of fee to set up and all of this because everybody's coming there to see the movie stars and the actors and it's like I literally when they opened one day, they always put the actors in the back of the hall. Literally, everybody ran right past me. They were running to get to the back. You know, nobody even stopped to look at the table, and it's just you know, I'd much rather do smaller
those actors
conventions.
are hoovering up all the money. Yep.
Yeah.
I love New Orleans.
Okay.
You live in the city itself?
No, I live across the lake and across Lake Pontchartrain. I live on the North Shore. I would say I live close enough to New Orleans that I can go in, enjoy, you know, go to conventions and stuff. But I don't have to live in the city. I live far enough away. You know, it's about 45 minutes for me to get there.
Okay, I have a question. It's a culinary question, though.
Uh-oh.
What's the secret ingredient to jambalaya? Because I want to make it so bad, but I want it to be really good.
You're talking to the
Do
wrong
you mind?
I'm not much of a cook, so.
Okay.
Disappointing.
What's that spice? Oh, Old Bay for one thing. You got to get Old Bay.
Old Bay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old Bay Spice. Yep.
Old Bay
It
spice.
says a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I've heard Old Spice.
Old
Old Bag.
Bay.
I've heard of a
I got my
Bailey's.
adobo. I'm good. I'm set.
Yeah, their
So-
shrimp
so John-
etouffee is to die for.
So, John, the question I have is, what's your style of writing? I mean, what's your method in writing stories for comics? I mean, there's all the different, the name different styles, Marvel method, and all that. What have you worked in, and what is your favorite method of writing a comic?
I write full script and I write longhand first. I don't use the computer.
Okay.
I don't use the computer till after I sit down. I take my script and then it kind of gives me an editing process too, because, you know, I can change things as I type it in. But my longhand scripts are a disaster because I'll be writing and I'll get down to where maybe it's panel 4 and I'll go like, oh, wait a minute, this should go up in panel 3. So I'm drawing lines and little things on the
Arrows.
side of it. Yes. But I have to write longhand. I can't sit, you know, and write a script on the computer. So I write everything longhand, then I transfer it to the computer and edit as I go.
So when you say that you write, you know, full script, are you talking dialogue as well?
Yes, everything.
Interesting.
I write the caption. I write I write the description, the caption, and the dialogue, everything.
I tried doing that early on in my comic writing career, and it didn't stick. I wound up, you know, and I was working with some like really good artists, but the problems that I would run into would be when they would draw what I had put, characters were inverted, one should be on the left, one should be on the right for the word balloon flow. They wouldn't necessarily leave me enough room for word balloons. So that's when I stopped scripting, because I started off doing exactly what you did. That was exactly what I was doing. And that's when it's like, okay, well, I'll just do the description of what happens in there. I get the page, and then I get to go back based upon character location, body language, whatever else, and then have fun scripting is like a second part. It's almost kind of like Christmas. It's a different process.
Is that yours?
This is a Divinity script.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here, hang on just a second here.
That looks
scratches. Yeah.
That looks more like kidnapper notes.
Yeah. It's a little giveaway at a show. And yeah, this
looks like somebody crazy owns it. Like somebody who has like I don't know, badger skull or some shit like that.
That's right.
And
yep.
All right. Okay, I got a joke, Finn. Guys, if it's lined
That's cool.
horizontally,
Barbara's
why you're writing diagonally? I don't understand. Please let me understand that.
Why you don't stay on the lines and write at an
Yes,
angle,
thank
right?
you.
Nonconformist.
Well,
Rebels.
That left-hand page is notes on what's going on the right-hand page, right? Right, Barb?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I make
That's what it
revisions.
looks like to me.
I revisions
Yeah.
on the back side. See, I write here.
Oh,
I write here, and then I'm like, oops, I forgot something, and then I'll make a note
you
over
put it
here
on
with
the
the
left.
arrow.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so
Oh, yeah,
it doesn't have to work. And you want
That makes a
to
lot of sense.
skew it so it doesn't look like it's part of the script. You're making a note. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh yeah, my page.
Thank you for illuminating.
The only person that could read my script is me, and sometimes I can't read it after I'm finished.
Your longhand script. Yeah.
Because my writing's not that great. And like I said, I'll put things in. I'll remember. I'll think, oh wait a minute, this should be up in here, and I'll just be all over the place. But I'll tell the artist when I send them the script though too that they can change stuff. If they feel like instead of 4 panels, they can do it better in 3 panels. So sometimes there's some editing going on. They may send it back to me, and I have to okay, I'll have to redo this a little bit. But
yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. You took it right out of my mouth. Thanks.
Yeah, because I never want the artist to be part of the process. It's like I may be sending them a full script, and it's not like Marvel method, but however they want to change it. If they have a better idea, that's
well, that's the strength in comic books is that there's a synergy that happens between a writer and an
collaboration
artist.
is so unique.
Yeah, it's the collaboration. It's the you got 2 brains working on it instead of just one. And of course, an artist is going to think more visually than most writers do. So you're going to get some of that. The artist can go, oh, I can make this more interesting if I do this visually. So that's part of the synergy of comic books. What makes them so great? In my
one of my Divinity scripts. I have pages 8, 9, and 10. Fight.
One of the things I do on my scripts too, on the top of it, I'll draw like a little comic page, and I don't I can't draw anything, but I'll draw my panel sizes, like how I envision the panel size.
Yeah,
so that helps me. One thing that helps me do is, not add a million things into a panel that it's not going to fit. If I'm doing a small panel, I know, okay, I can't fit, I can't tell the artist, draw 100 people in that panel. That's more for my benefit than anything, just so as I'm writing it, it keeps, I can see the flow of what I'm doing, and I can kind of see, that I'm not doing something stupid for the artist.
Do you send that part with the script when you send it to the artist, or is that
normally I don't,
strictly for you? Okay.
Yeah, that's more for me, just so I kind of keep myself in check, because it's easy for me to sit there and write up and say oh, there's 50 people in this panel attacking the good guy or something, and even if that was a full page, that's a lot. But and then I'm expecting it to be like this little side panel or something, and it helps me with just the flow of how I want the page to go too.
Mm-hmm.
If I've got a really odd page that, for instance, I have a figure in the middle, and then the panels rotate around the figure, then I will sketch it out. I will sketch out the panel layout and send it to my I bite my penciler because I know what it's supposed to look like in my head anyway. But it's
I have a two-part question here, John. Could you tell me an artist that you've collaborated with in the past that was such a delight to work with that you'd love to work with them again?
Honestly, most of the artists I've worked with have been really good. I'm trying to think of any that I don't want to work with. Almost everybody that I've worked with has been really, some of them have been like, they'll just take my script and send it back to me, and there's very little give and take, There's an artist I used that was he was actually from Russia. He was living in Siberia at the time he was drawing for me. I'd send him a script and he would just send it back to me. And there's very little, give and take. But one of the things I like about the fact of working in comics, a lot of the artists I've worked with have become friends. We communicate back and forth, we text, we Facebook, we'll talk about our families or what's going on. And, even there's some artists that I've worked with that I haven't worked with lately that we still communicate back and forth. Now there's a few artists, there's an artist that, I've been working with for a few years that we're probably at the point where I don't think I'm going to work with him anymore. I actually have a Kickstarter that's like 3 years overdue right now. And it's because the artist has done 12 pages so far. And I'm just, I'm about to just pull the plug on it, because it's just, it
happens.
Yeah. And, it's made me realize one thing. I will not do a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder unless the book is 100% done now.
That's the way Silverline has always operated.
Yeah. And I knew that when I went in that. I've always said that. And, I let myself get talked into, I'll get the book done. I can get it done really quick. And, 3 years for 12 pages is not really quick.
All right. Okay. So part 2, is there a collaborator that you haven't worked with yet that you would love to get, if money was not a concern, who would be your dream team?
Oh gosh. I would have, it's impossible now because Sam just passed away. I'd love to have worked with Sam again. Sam and I worked really well together. This was before, he became famous. We'd spend hours on the phone talking back and forth. And then, I'd sit down and write a script, send it to him, and then he'd send me back the artwork. I always tell people for 5 minutes, I was the writer on the Max. Because he asked Bill Loebs to do it first, but Bill didn't want to do it. Because, he had worked with Bill for, on a bunch of different things. And Bill was kind of hesitant. So he asked me to do it. But then Bill changed his mind and wanted to come back to it. And I don't blame him. Bill was a much better writer than I was. So I would have went with Bill Loebs. But, I would have liked to work with Sam again, one more chance. Because we did everything before he became famous and, with Sam and became Sam Keith. And it would have just been fun to do something with him again towards the end. But it's one of those, we were friends in the beginning and we never weren't friends, but how as you grow older, you kind of just, I had to talk to Sam in like probably a decade or more. I didn't even realize he had been that sick. So, we just kind of drifted apart. But, at the time, he did a free cover for me for one of my comics. He drew a cover for me. Sam was the nicest guy in the world. He was super nice.
How about you, John Medic? You have any questions?
What's that? So this one's a business question because it kind of popped into mind. You've got your digital comics and you do some amazing pricing on those, which is fantastic. Do you do any sort of digital storefront when you're at a live show, maybe on a tablet or a laptop or something, so people could make a point of purchase digitally right then and there? I'm assuming like if people go home, they'll probably forget and never do it. Do you have anything set up, or have you ever thought about setting up something so they can actually log in right then and there and make the purchase?
I have thought of it now. I'm thinking of it now. I haven't before, but that's actually a good idea. I've actually started.
Great idea, John.
I've been building my email list, and at conventions, I offer a free. I did a 8-page comic feature Marie Laveau, and I give that away free if you sign up for my email list.
Oh, that's
Because
cool.
before I did that, I used to have a pad out on my table and say, sign up for my email list. And people would be like, no, thank you. And nobody wanted to sign up for it. But as soon as I started giving away this comic, I made a banner for it. And it's like, it says free comic. I've got almost 500 emails signed up for my, on my list.
Wow.
So
Free sales.
yeah, it's a little 8-page comic, so it's black and white. So, well, originally it didn't cost me that much to print. I went back to print more of them and the price is doubled, but that's the price of everything.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Everything.
I'm thinking of bringing my laptop or some type of tablet to have where they can sign up for my email list, like digitally, because there's some people that sign up for this thing. I cannot read their handwriting for the world. So I've probably missed at least a couple dozen emails just because I
You
can't.
also, you
Yes.
can also create like a QR code for
Yeah.
folks to scan in.
Someone else had just mentioned I need to look at something where they can, I was thinking of putting my laptop and just having it open to my Substack where you can sign up for the email list and let them just type in their email
But
right then and there.
if they can use their phone and scan in a QR code that takes them to the sign up page. They can do it right there on their phone.
Yeah, see, that would work too. Yeah, that's something I need to look at for sure because I have no room to talk. My handwriting is terrible, so it's. But some of them they're just so hard to read.
Now, how does your Substack work for you?
It's. I just got my first person that's just paying a paid subscriber, so I feel like I'm but I don't have a paywall. Everything on my Substack is free. I don't have I don't put stuff behind a paywall. So basically, if you want to help me continue the Substack, I have a $5 monthly you can sign up for, but I'm not going to put stuff behind a paywall. I just give everything out free, and my Substack's worked out pretty well because I've tried websites, I've tried Patreon, I've tried all this stuff, and for some reason nothing has worked. And I find that I stay pretty well, up to date on my Substack. I keep, I post a lot of stuff. I post about, writing comics, the business side of it, how I write comics, where I come up with ideas. I've posted free comics on there. So I stay pretty up to date on it.
Substack's an up and comer, I think.
Yeah, it's easy to use and it looks pretty. I think the look of it is pretty decent. I don't know why, I tried a Patreon and for some reason I set it up and then ignored it, so.
Yeah, it seems like you got to jump through a lot of hoops for it too. There's a lot of stuff you need to do to get it going.
And I didn't want to set up a paywall because why does anybody want to pay extra to see what I'm writing? Because it's not like I'm a huge name or, I figured, and plus I just want people to see everything I write. I don't want to have, you got to pay $10 a month to see this. This article.
What I see a lot of Substackers do is that they'll write a teaser story that gets to a cliffhanger, and then you have to go past the paywall.
Paywall, yeah.
That's what Webtoons does too.
Yeah, that's what drug dealers do. Yeah. First one's free.
Yeah, give you a taste.
And it's a known business model. It works.
Yeah, that's how I got married. Well, John, if somebody wants to hire you to write their comic or they want to see more of your work, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm on every social media. You can go to Facebook under my name. Pretty much the other social medias, I'm under Diebold Comics. You can email me, johnh985@yahoo.com, dieboldcomics@gmail.com. I will take paying gigs. If somebody wants to hire me to write, I'll be glad to do that. So, Facebook, I'm on, like I said, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Threads, LinkedIn, pretty much every.
Yeah, I think
LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn has been interesting. I worked in retail for 50 years because I retired a couple years ago. So I worked in retail like 50 years, and my company wanted us to make a LinkedIn profile. So I made the LinkedIn profile and never went back to it. I never was on LinkedIn until after I retired, and somebody said that was actually a good site to go to. And I've actually made a lot of, connections on LinkedIn. It's a lot better than I thought it was when I was told I had to do it.
So now you're retired from the day job and you get to focus on comics. That's awesome. Congrats.
That's what that's what I try to do. So the only downside to that was my day job paid for my comics before.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a lot of, I didn't spend a lot of money for much other things. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't go out a lot. I lived alone for most of my life, and most of my money went into making I was able to pay artists and print and stuff like that. Social Security does not quite pay that amount of money.
That's what my shows are for, is to pay my talent.
Yeah.
How many books would you say that you put out total over the years?
I think I've self-published about 25 or 26 comics so far.
Okay.
Now, like I said, back in the day, I worked for Fantagraphics. I did a lot of, probably about half a dozen or so books with them. Innovation, I only did the one issue of the Quantum Leap. I did work with Caliber, Amazing Comics, Kitchen Sink, a bunch of, different publishers during that time. During the 80s and early 90s, I was getting published by a lot of the smaller indie. And during the black and white boom, there was somebody publishing anything. They were throwing so much stuff against the wall to see what would stick.
I was just a couple years too young to be able to monopolize or capitalize on that. If I was 5 years older, it would have been great times. But yeah, I at least enjoyed reading the stuff back then. So I was old enough for that.
It was like the Wild West.
Oh yeah,
it was
like
great.
Will Smith's Wild Wild West. Now you got that song stuck in my head. Thanks so much.
Giant spiders.
You heard about the giant spider story, right?
What?
The Superman tie-in?
No.
So basically, is it John Peters who was a hairdresser that wanted to? Yeah, he wanted to do a Superman story where Superman had to fight big mechanical spiders, and I think Kevin Smith was looped in somehow, and somebody told them to go pound dirt. And then he wound up being in charge of Wild Wild West, where they fight big mechanical spiders.
Oh, yeah.
Just Google it. It's a very bizarre story.
The Wild Wild West with Will Smith. Yeah.
And Kevin Kline.
Yeah. Okay, that's where that. First, when you said giant spiders, I was like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm arachnophobic. When we said mechanical, I think, oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember what's the name of that gigantic spider in Lord of the Rings. It wasn't Aragorn? Shelob. There you go. Shelob. Thank you.
Yeah, you can tell which the geeks here. Oh yeah, that's Shelob. Well, it was really, really great to have you, John. We're going to have you back again because you're a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was fun being here. July, I have another Kickstarter starting, so book me for July. I'll be here.
Sure. How often do you run Kickstarters?
Last year was a really bad year for me because I didn't do hardly anything. Part of it was because of that Kickstarter that I was trying to get finished and just a lot of other issues. But this year I've decided I'm going to get as much new books out as I can. And the last, where are we in now? May. The last couple of months, I've got 3 new books out.
Congrats.
So
that's excellent.
Yeah, it sounds like Substack is working well for you. So you might think about using that as your promotional base.
And, I do.
And then space the other formats. That sounds like it's working for you.
I try to, promote on Substack and all the social media. I tried Facebook ads, but they don't really seem to do much for me except take my money.
That's what Facebook is real good about trying to get your money.
Oh yeah. I did that on Facebook and Instagram, and before I knew it, I had like a $200 bill, and I was like, "Wait a minute." So I'm not doing those anymore. But I do a lot of posting on all the social medias. I post on Substack. I try to do as many podcasts as possible. When I get have something new come out. So this year I'm going to try to do a bunch of podcasts. I'm actually thinking of flipping this campaign that's running on Zoop right now to Indiegogo and just see how it does. Just let it run on Indiegogo for a month or so.
Why not?
It's not costing me anything, and it's all, like I said, I don't have to print anything. If people buy it, it's all it's just a matter of emailing people stuff. Because Indiegogo has a little bigger reach than than Zoop. So I think I'm just going to stick it on there, let it run for a month or so, and see how it goes while I concentrate on my next Kickstarter, which hopefully that one will do a lot better.
It's kind of like the digital equivalent of putting your book in as many stores as possible.
The only thing about social media, though, is all those platforms that take so long. It takes a chunk out of every single day. Constantly be curating all of your social media platforms.
But think when you used to have to drive to different comic stores saying, "Will you carry my book? Will you put this on the shelf?" At least now we're not doing gas at $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, and on Facebook, I try to do all the groups. I go through all the comic groups. I try to post on those, and I've got some comic groups that I'm like 7 or 8 pending posts. I don't know why they just don't drop. Just turn down the post. But they just keep all these posts pending. And it just gets under my nerve that I'm going to put another post. I know you're not going to show it, but I'm going to make you look at it.
That's right.
But
speaking of crowdfunders, just a reminder, folks, that we are running our own crowdfunder at the moment, and this is going to last for 90 days. And we will be continuously adding new stuff as Roland has time to go through our large backstock and the items that people are sending him to add to the crowdfunder. We have commissions available. In fact, Rob will take commissions. We're selling commissions and just a little bit of everything. I call it the mulligan stew of crowdfunders. So check back often as we replace the stuff that sells with new stuff. And again, this is to recoup some of the losses that we took during the whole diamond fiasco.
Crowdfunder garage sale at Silverline.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, there you go.
I just came up with
Crowdfunder
that.
garage sale.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
That's what it is.
Did y'all have books tied up at the warehouse in Diamonds?
We had orders and printed books for several orders that ended up never going anywhere.
Yeah.
There's Roland's still sitting on them, which is part of the crowdfunder. So that we took a hit.
That's become such a nightmare. It's like it just doesn't seem to end. Every time I see something posted about this is happening at Diamond now or whatever.
We never went into the red, but we took a hit. So we're trying to recoup some of that. And other companies have done the same, where they've done garage sale crowdfunders. So we thought we'd take a stab at it too. So please go to both of our crowdfunders. Go to John's crowdfunder and the Silverline crowdfunder and help us out.
Send me the link to y'all's, and I'll post on my Facebook too.
Absolutely.
Please. That's as valuable as purchase.
That's right.
Almost.
I will send it to you. You got to. I need to friend you too on Facebook. I noticed when I went to send you a message today, I'm like, I thought I was friends with everybody.
I'm thinking John and I are friends at least on Facebook.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And maybe LinkedIn as well. I'm not real sure, but I remember seeing your name on Facebook.
Well, thank you for gracing us with your presence tonight, John. You were a lot of fun, and you
Thank
are
y'all.
an
I enjoyed it a lot.
entertaining guest. And as we like to say at the end of every Wednesday Wham, make mine Silverline.
Hey heroes, cosplayers, and pop culture fans, are you ready to assemble for the ultimate geek weekend? The Hall of Heroes Comic-Con is invading Elkhart, Indiana with 2 explosive days of comics, stars, and non-stop fun. Join us Saturday, May 30th and Sunday, May 31st, 2026 at the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart. Doors open at 10 a.m. both days. VIP early entry at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're rolling out a massive lineup of legends. Meet Eric Estrada from Chips and Fallout, Dirk Benedict from the A-Team and Battlestar Galactica, Tara Reid from American Pie and Sharknado, Catherine Cavadini, voice of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, Kel Mitchell from All That, Kevin and Kel and Mystery Men, horror icon Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers in Halloween, and more. Plus, top comic artists including Arthur Sidum, Marvel Zombies and Deadpool, John Kramer from Batman and Wonder Woman, Keith Pollard, a legendary Marvel artist on Spider-Man and Thor, and more. Scott Rosama, Stuart Sager, and others. Get autographs, photo ops, and chats with the stars and creators who shaped your favorites. The floor is packed with over 150 vendors, artists, and cosplayers offering exclusive comics, collectibles, original art, and merch. Enjoy cosplay contests for kids and adults with great prizes, live Q&A panels, artist showcases, interactive zones, and family-friendly fun all weekend. And the excitement goes live. Madness Entertainment Group is broadcasting straight from the con floor all weekend on YouTube, Build, and Rumble. Catch every moment as it happens, then relive it anytime with the full shows available later on Med TV on Roku. Grab your tickets today at hohcomiccon.org. Hall of Heroes Comic-Con, May 30th and 31st, 2026. Northern Indiana Event Center, Elkhart, Indiana. We'll see you there, heroes. This ad was created by Nim on behalf of Madness Entertainment Group and Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
Hi, I'm John Beatty. Make mine Silverline.